Everyone loves a good nickname, and countries are no different. Europe, itself often referred to as the Old Continent, is home to the greatest variety of country aliases. Have you ever wondered what your neighboring countries' nicknames are? And how they got them? Do you know which European country is considered the land of 1,000 lakes? Which one bears the moniker the Land of Strokes? Or Land of Roses? Where do the nicknames, Albion, Hellas, Magyars, or Lusitania, come from? Whether you're a globe-trotter eager to know how a country's known when among friends, or a journalist desperately looking for that precious second mention, this article is for you. Now, take your boots, wear a bullskin, cross the Emerald Isle, and join us in the heart of Europe. Portugal, Lusitania. Are we really gonna start this European tour with a misuse of language? You bet. As you may know, Portugal is sometimes referred to as Lusitania, but that is taking something of a geographical liberty, 2 centuries before Christ. The Roman province called Lusitania only comprised the area south of the Douro River, as well as a part of modern Spain. This region includes for around 80% of modern-day Portugal, which explains why the terms Lusitania and Lusitanic are still sometimes used to refer to the country as a whole, and Lusophone for nations that share its language, especially in formal or literary contexts. But in other usages it's fallen out of fashion. The 16th century colony originally known as New Lusitania is today much better, and more snappily, known as Brazil. Spain, the bullskin. You may have not heard of it, but Spanish people sometimes refer to their country as La Piel de Toro, the bullskin. That's thanks to the imagination of Greek geographer Strabonus, who compared the shape of the country to a bullskin stretched out under the sun, and is also, no doubt, a reference to the country's long-standing obsession with bull-related activities. In fact, Spain has been through a bunch of different names throughout history. The North Africans who first crossed the Straits of Gibraltar called it Iberia, the land of rivers, after Iber, a river. When the Greeks invaded, they called it Hesperia, land of the setting sun. Meanwhile, the Carthaginians, arriving around 300 BC, came up with Hispania, land of the rabbits, later Latinized by the Romans to Hispania, and subsequently España. So, macho Spaniards take note. Your country is actually named, not after the virile bull, but the bunny. France, the hexagon, stretching about 1,000 kilometers from top to bottom, and about the same from side to side. France is the largest country in Western Europe. Take out the, not inconsiderable, overseas territories of La Réunion, Mayotte, Guadeloupe, Martinique and French Guiana, plus the island of Corsica, and the shape of mainland France almost perfectly fits into a 6-sided shape, hence, the hexagon, a term beloved by French politicians and journalists alike. This is also rather convenient for French schoolchildren, who learn how to draw their country by first constructing a hexagon. Iceland, the land of fire and ice. A country of outstanding natural beauty. Iceland is sometimes called the land of fire and ice, because of its extreme landscapes, with glaciers and volcanic springs located next to each other. A very appropriate nickname, then, for a country which counts no fewer than 30 active volcanic systems amounting to 1/3 of the world's total lava output. But in fact, while this dramatic moniker is useful marketing for the Iceland Tourist Board, an inspiration for George R.R. Martin, Icelanders themselves use many different names and paraphrases to refer to their country. The Queen of the Mountain, Fjelladrottning. The Young Woman of the Glacier, Jokameyer. The Snowland, Snaland, or the Ice Cover, Klaken. How poetic. Ireland, the Emerald Isle. How did Ireland come to be called the Emerald Isle? Its resplendent greenery played a big part, of course. But there's more to the story than that. The expression's first appearance in print was in a poem by William Drennan, a chief architect of the Society of United Irishmen, entitled, When Aaron First Rose, of which one stanza reads, Arm of Aaron, be strong, but be gentle as brave, and uplifted to strike. Be still ready to save. Let no feeling of vengeance presume to defile the cause of, or men of, the Emerald Isle. When Drennan died in 1820, in a final symbolic gesture, he insisted his coffin be carried by 3 Protestants and 3 Catholics. United Kingdom, Albion. The term, Albion, comes from the Latin word, alba, or white. used by many classical Greek writers presumably in reference to the White Cliffs of Dover. Later, in the 12th century, the word became part of a legend, as a popular folk tale explained how the giants of Albion were the original inhabitants of the island. It is only from the 17th century that the term Albion was associated with treachery and infidelity in the pejorative phrase, perfidious Albion. You don't need to wander too far to find the culprit. You guessed it. It's the French to blame. The phrase was first coined by 17th-century theologian Jacques Benin Bossuet, who used the term, perfidious, in its more religious sense of, the country that lost its faith, and later popularized by his countrymen. Playwright Augustin Louis de Ximenes, who wrote in 1793, "Let us attack perfidious Albion in her waters." Ah, the joys of neighborly relations. Norway, the land of the midnight sun. The sun at midnight. Must be a joke, right? Not if you live far enough north. It isn't. Norway, the land of the midnight sun, is so called because the northern tip is located above the Arctic Circle, where the sun shines 20 hours a day from mid-May to mid-July. Midnight sun is a natural phenomenon which reaches its peak during the summer solstice, duly celebrated by Norwegians each year on the 21st of June. It's a double-edged sword for the Norwegians, though, as they suffer long months of darkness during the winter, which they don't even get to hibernate through. Sweden, the elongated country. Yes, you got it right. Swedes have a marvelous and somewhat equivocal nickname for their country, Det avlånga landet. The elongated country. It is not a phrase commonly used outside the country, but Swedes themselves love to point out the fact that their territory stretches 1,600 kilometers from top to bottom. And they go on and on with different figurative nicknames based on their country's shape, such as Landet Falukorv, a typical traditional medium-fat sausage everyone eats in Sweden, to Landet Mellanmjölk, a kind of milk packaging invented there. Younger generations do not bother with elaborated metaphor, they just call their country en slack kuk, which elegantly means, a limp penis. All this is quite paradoxical with another common nickname Swedes give to their country, Landet lagom. The moderate land where everything is done, just the right amount. Neither too much nor too little. Finland, the land of 1,000 lakes. Finland is called, the land of 1,000 lakes. But that's rather an understatement. At last count there were 187.888 of them, one lake for every 26 people. And more per square kilometer than any other country, with some 10% of the inland country covered by water. This would explain why Finns feel a certain closeness to the element of water, and why lakes are the source of so many Finns' livelihood. We can trace back the origin of the nickname to a verse of a Finnish song whose text was published in English in 1851. The term was also used in the titles of several books from the 1890s relating to Finland.